What's up, guys? We're back with another video. Today we're going to be pulling my injection pump to reseal, well, actually replace the tappet cover since it's leaking. We've got a billet one coming that we're going to throw on, and yeah, so I'll show you guys how we're starting out and kind of just walk you through the procedure. I've heard it's pretty simple, so hopefully we don't hit any roadblocks. We are actually a little less than 2 weeks out from a show. I gotta make a 2.5 hour drive in this thing, so I don't want it to be leaking, and I'm just hoping that I can get this all taken care of before then. Yeah, wish me luck. Alright, so I've already got the linkage for the throttle taken out. It was pretty simple. Nut here, nut there, a bolt down here, and then bolt down here, right there, from the back side. Or no, it was on the front side. It was on the front side, my bad. So 1, 2, 3, pop the linkage off of here. You don't have to, you can just pull the linkage out of the way and set it over here, but I'm replacing it with something a little nicer. So there's a clip through the firewall that you just take a flathead screwdriver and pop it out from the inside. Like I said, bolt here, nut, and then this, you just push that in, push these two in, and then push it through the firewall. Oh, and you gotta push this, pull this towards you and push it up to get it off the pedal. And then this, I just took a pair of needle nose pliers and put them between there and popped it up, and then it comes right off. We are, sorry, it's a bit of a mess in here, but we're replacing this system, that system, with this low car throttle cable and a Metal by Charlie throttle bracket. This is the cable I asked Charlie, and this is the one he suggests. It's a 36-inch cut to fit low car stainless steel throttle cable. So we'll get that on. I'm not exactly sure how this end attaches to the pedal, but I'm sure we'll find out once we go to install it. And then this, I'm pretty sure, just screws on to the throttle arm on the pump. So that should be pretty simple. Back to what we're doing over here on the truck. So I removed these injector lines from the injectors. That's a 17 mil. All of these nuts and bolts are 1/2 inch. And there's a 10 mil right here that holds this bracket to the pump. And then I'm not sure, I might have to take that bracket off entirely. It also bolts to the block in 2 more places, I think. And then the power steering has like a little arm going to it that's just 1 bolt, so I'll have to look into that, see if we have to take that off. I think we will, to get the pump to move back. Oh, I also unplugged the fuel shutoff solenoid and the KSB. So now I'm thinking we're gonna pop the lines here, take the lines off, the little brackets off there, and there, and I guess there as well. And then they should come out. I might take this bracket off as well. I think I'm gonna have to. I gotta bolt up underneath there. I think that's a 10 mil. We're also replacing the fuel filter while we do this because easy access. And I think my fuel filter housing, whatever, is leaking. So I'm gonna look at that, see if I can't fix it. Yeah, I'll show you guys again once I've made a little more progress. All right, I just remembered a few things to tell you guys. So these line wrenches, you need a 17. They're nice to have. The injector lines you can get off with a regular 17. These you probably could too, but it's just nice to have the line wrench. I bought a kit that comes with, this kit was on Amazon, I can link it for you. Comes with the wrench you need to get the pump bolts, pump nuts, and it comes with this puller that you'll need to get the pump gear off. To get the pump gear off, you just pull this thing off, unscrew this part here, and then rotate that one counterclockwise like you're unscrewing it, and then it comes out, and then you can get at the end of the pump gear through that hole, which I think is really nice, so you don't have to take the whole cover off, especially since I just resealed that. So you want to get those things. And I mean, I tried getting on, you can get this nut without that wrench, but the other two right back in there, and then one like directly that way, you can't get them without that wrench. And then you'll want to, my truck has an 1/8 inch timing bump, so you want to mark that position, so the line on the pump, mark a line on the timing case so you can line it back up. You'll want to put the engine at top dead center so that it's at top dead center when you take it out. You can use the pin right there to mark. You can pull that out and it'll show you where top dead center is. There's a little pinhole, and then you can pop that in, make sure it's right at top dead center, and then you can go ahead and pull your pump, and just don't rotate your engine while it's out. Don't rotate the pump shaft either. I don't know if you could do that by hand, but don't, just leave it all where it is so it goes right back in how it is. So mark on your timing case where your pump lines up if it's not at the factory setting. Put your engine at top dead center, and you should be good. So we will continue taking this apart. All right, guys, I'm back with you. So we took this bolt out. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I think I did, but we took this bolt out to disconnect that arm from the pump. And then there's a bolt right there, goes through that hole into the boss on the block. Then there is two down here. One right there, and it'll go through that when it's rotated straight. And then there's one right above it. That one right above it, unfortunately, you can't get out with the pump there. You can get it, you gotta loosen it. You can loosen it, but you can't get it all the way out. So that only really sucks for me that I couldn't get it out, because what I wanted to do is, since I'm getting rid of that throttle bracket, the only part on here that I need is that piece. So I was gonna cut this arm like right there so that I'd still have that piece, but I don't need this. And I might still be able to with it in the truck. I recommend taking this off before you get the lines. I started it, but it just, that piece gets in the way a little bit. So take 2 bolts out, top and bottom, loosen the middle one, and then that just drops that way, and then you can get at your lines much easier. And I still have to put this thing at top dead center, so I'm gonna go do that. All right, so after getting covered in diesel fuel, I got the rear 3 lines out. So you do have to, I loosened these 3 first, and then you gotta like move the other line, hold them out of the way to get at the other ones, and it's kind of annoying, but just keep working at it and eventually they'll come off. Fortunately, there's not too many threads on them, so they come off pretty quick. A lot of them I was able to just break loose with the wrench and then get them with my hands, so hopefully you guys are just as lucky if you're doing this. All right, we got all the lines out. Now I'm gonna get this bolt up here, right there. Pull that out. Oh, there's 2. One here, one back here. I believe, yeah, 10 mils. That'll come out. This banjo bolt has to come off. And this bolt, banjo bolt, has to come off. And then we should be good. I'm also gonna have to take my HVLP fuel line off to get the tappet cover off. All right, so we got them off, both of them. This one, focus, this one and this one are both 17s. This one, you notice, doesn't have any holes there. This one does have holes, so don't mix those 2 up. I just screwed that one right back in where it goes. This one I couldn't get back in, but once I get the pump out, I'm gonna throw it in there because this lines doesn't let it, you know, screw in. We're gonna have to get this guy at some point. I don't think that one's a 17, maybe it is. Yeah, that one's a 17 as well. So don't mix up any of those banjo bolts. So next we're gonna pull this, we're gonna unscrew it right here. This fill neck, oil fill neck, we're gonna unscrew it right here, and then we're gonna screw it that way once this is off so that it can, because it won't clear this fan, clutch fan pulley. So we'll unscrew it this way. I've been thinking about, I want to find a shorter belt so that I can delete that pulley altogether. I think that would be kind of cool. Let me know if any of you guys know of someone who's done that or have done it yourselves. Comment down below. Can I do that? What length belt do I need? Will that work? You know, is that pulley necessary to have there? I don't see why it would be, but let me know. Give me some information on that. So now that we've got that out, we got to pop this nut off and then get our puller in there, which is just goes on there, 2 bolts thread in, and then you just tighten them evenly until the gear pops off, because it's just a press fit. And there's a keyway. That keyway that's on the pump shaft, you want to make sure not to drop down in there. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to make sure that it doesn't fall in there. People say that usually they're pretty tight in there, they won't just fall out, but that would make for a really bad day if it fell down in there, because then I'd have to, I don't know, figure out where it went and probably pull this case off, probably or pull the cover off, probably maybe drop the oil pan, who knows. But yeah, so we're not gonna let that happen, I hope. All right guys, so I worked ahead a little bit because there was rain in the forecast. We got this nut off. That was a 7/8, so we popped this off. We rotated the motor over till this pin popped in. That's the popped in position. So for reference, it will move a little bit back and forth. Actually a good bit back and forth. before it is in the pinhole, but then once you turn around, it'll drop in even further, and it'll look like that. It's currently engaged. And then, yeah, so then we broke this nut loose, pulled that off, threaded in our puller, pulled that out, popped that off. It popped off almost immediately. It didn't take much pressure at all. And then we used that, S-wrench we got in the kit, got these bolts off, nuts off, and the pump just came right out. I'm also going to pull this pin off, not just the pin, but the housing for it, the little sleeve for it. I'm gonna pull that off because it's leaking. So I'm gonna reseal that. I've got a new gasket for the pump, and yeah, we should be good. All right, guys, while we got the pump out, we're doing the dynamic timing spacer. These two, they are 3/16 hex head. And then this is a 5/16. I'm just using a wrench, taking that out, and I'll show you guys once we're inside. All right, so we're in. We had this washer on top. We've got our spring, and I know there's another washer in there. Oh, never mind, stuck to my spring. Cool. So this is gonna go back in. This is gonna go back in. We're gonna add this one that came with the kit. Got our new one with our O-ring. New O-ring goes in there. All right, so we got it cleaned up. You wanna make sure O-ring, flat side, and then an O-ring. So you should have the groove of the spacer facing up. And then washer, bam. Washer. Extra washer. And the KSB goes back on with some longer bolts. All right, guys, so we got in here with the good stuff. Cleaned it up a little bit. Got the gasket off of the timing case where the pump goes. We got a new gasket. Cleaned up the pump as well. And in the process, I broke off the little shitty plastic tube that fed my aftermarket oil pressure gauge. So I'm gonna have to fix that. Not a big deal. I should probably replace that tube because it's just a plastic tube. It's junk. All right, guys, so we have pulled our fuel filter. We've pulled this fuel line that goes from here to there. That one was a 15. This one was a 17. There's been a few changes. I painted this whole thing, so I think that looks a lot nicer. I cut this bracket, that extra piece off, since we've got the Metal by Charlie bracket. This sensor is an air temperature sensor for grid heaters, so I've got my grid heater delete here, so I got rid of that. I'm gonna plug that hole instead of having the sensor stick up, just for shits and giggles. I attached my oil dipstick tube there since I'm deleting all that other linkage that it mounts to. And we're gonna reroute some of the wiring that goes across here to make it look nice. All right, guys, that was, I guess it could have been worse, but it wasn't the most fun thing in the world either. So we ended up pulling the lift pump to help us clear. I didn't take the CCV tube off. That would probably be helpful to do that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these studs just hold this piece of shit on. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a fuel return line back there that's like this one. Goes onto one of the bolts on the rearmost bolt. So you have to, I had to kind of reach in there and pop it off. It was stuck to the insulation on that cover. So I'm gonna clean all this up, and then we will get the billet cover put on. All right guys, so we got it all cleaned up around the sealing surface. Got the billet cover. I tried to weld some like perforated sheet, aluminum sheet on here, but I don't know if it was the TAPPET cover or the sheet that didn't want to weld, so that didn't work out. I'm probably gonna do an oil catch can, because these are known, just being open like this, to put out quite a bit of oil. All right guys, the cover is in, and it looks fantastic if I do say so myself. That's just sitting on there because the bolt is too small, and I didn't want to put a washer because they, you know, the holes on the TAPPET cover are countersunk, and I wanted to make sure it was going to pull it up tight. I probably could have put a washer, but it kind of sits on there, but I think it'll be fine once it's attached to the pump. Same thing with the back one. I think it'll be fine without them being held there, but I may down the road figure something out, because it'll be a lot easier to get in there with the stuff that I'm doing. So I'm going to skip to having everything back together to show you guys, because there's a few other things I'm doing here. So boom, and it's back together. Look at that. It's looking pretty good. Got the braided throttle cable in. I had some struggles with that for a little bit, but then I figured it out. I actually, not only did I cut the wire, the cable, but I cut the braided part down because it was coming out of the cab and like down and up. So I just cut it, and now it's going right like that. I decided while I'm in here, I was gonna take care of this wiring, because this was all a mess back in here, all this. I deleted a ton of wires, stuff from the manual swap that was just not being used. I unwrapped it, took it out of the harness, got a new fuel filter, and everything is back together. I got it running. I did have to bleed the lines for a really long time. The injector lines over here, I cracked them all and just cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked and cranked, and it was a while. But eventually I got fuel coming out of all of them. I think I had it coming out of one of them, and then finally two of them, and then I cranked a little longer and came back, it was coming out of all of them. So and you can see it shot some fuel pretty far. It was kind of all over everything, but I cleaned it up as best I could. Closed the lines up, she cranked right up, and ran good. Okay, yeah, something I want to clear up for you guys. I was getting a lot of misinformation. I thought that I had to pull this timing pin out on the pump, that right there. Apparently that's only if you're replacing the pump with a new pump, like a brand new pump. You'll have to take that out, put that spacer in, and then torque this to 10 foot-pounds. That was already in there, so I can just leave that. You want to tighten your, just get those finger tight, and then you want to crank or torque this front nut to 15 foot-pounds, I think it was. And then you tighten these up. Make sure your timing pin down here is disengaged. And then I just put my truck in gear, but if you have an automatic, you have to stop the motor from turning somehow, either with a wrench with a barring tool in there, or a wrench on the crank pulley. And you torque this nut again after you tighten these. I think these are 18 foot-pounds. You tighten them down after you torque this to 15, and then you can go back and torque this to 48. People say just do 50 to be safe. And yeah, it was, I mean, all in all, it wasn't too bad of a job at all. I'm certainly not afraid of doing it again if I ever have to, or if I have to replace the pump or whatever. While I had it out, I painted the fuel lines. I painted this intake plenum. I don't know if you can see all the wiring harness work I did back there, but it actually is pretty beautiful. You can't really see it, but it looks much better than the rat's nest. Everything's a lot cleaner now. Got everything done. Today's Tuesday, and we are leaving Friday morning for Carlisle Import and Performance. I'm not bringing this thing as a show truck. It is going to be on display, but I'm going to be a vendor there, so if you guys, it would be really cool if any of you guys are going, and you come see me and tell me you're a subscriber. I have some really cool keychains if you're a subscriber, or I'll give you a free keychain. You show me that you're subscribed, and I'll give you a free one. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Comment down below anything that you think I could have done better, anything that you like, and we'll see you in the next one.